Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 4 of Season 1 2024 of Endurance for Amateurs here at Okayama International Circuit, brought to you by Ninja Botanicals and AlienAwards.net. We've got a 90-minute race with GTD and GTP classes with our first visit here to Okayama since September 2021. Last week was a hectic race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course with plenty of incidents. After missing the first race and coming in a close second at Sebring, Nick Terrell took first for the first time this season in the GTPs, but not without pressure from Nick Paletti late in the race. Paul Skip may have had a night to forget, but he still holds the first place spot over Nick Paletti by 2 points. GTD-A was won by Ken Huber for the second time in a row, marking a podium in all of the first 3 races along with Eric Bellata. And with the maximum safety point bonus, Ken extends his lead even further from Eric Bellata now to 8 points. GTD-B featured a maiden win for Nathan Westland, who came in 7th overall, bagging 3 safety points to boot. After that race, he finds himself in 4th place in a very tight battle that separates class leader Andrew Hicks and current 5th place driver in the class, James Foreman, all by just 19 points. I'm joined in the booth again by Derek Rice. Derek, this could be the tightest track we go to all season, and not with a lot of friendly tarmac runoff either. How important do you think traffic management is going to be, especially for these faster class prototypes?
Well, I think it's not going to be very long before those GTPs catch up to them. And once they do, they're going to have to really toggle with their speed and watch their relatives very vastly, because it's going to be pretty hectic. There's not a lot of room to move, especially in these hairpins and these tight bends, especially the last left-hander before you cross the finish. That one is going to be a lot of trouble for a lot of fellas tonight.
A lot of these drivers now just finishing their out lap, so getting ready to start putting in a hot lap, and we'll see where these times place them. We definitely saw some movement during practice as far as who was doing best. We did see Paul Skip up there at the top, as we usually see. One driver that I definitely noticed was having a really good race. Well, first off, in the GT3s, Ken Huber, as usual, was having the fastest times by quite a lot, as Paul Skip there goes to first for the GTPs in their first lap above Jay Smart. But Jesse Coffey, who is in that B class, and he's run 3 races, so he'll be in the B class for the rest of the season. He was, I think, 4th overall in practice, and may have a really good leg up on the competition for that B class, considering that he lost his lead in last week in IMS.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the shakeup.
So we're seeing
driving this course. Driving this course yesterday, I was having so much trouble myself. Just the sheer skinniness of the track, is quite daunting.
Yeah, and you can see as Tyler Lingenberg there goes through that section specifically, maybe a spot where there's some confusion, some miscommunication between classes. It won't be an issue on the first lap, as the no passing rule will extend through that. But that Moss S just kind of meanders through a left, which between the same cars maybe isn't a huge deal because it's not really a passing opportunity. But when the GTPs come around to lap, it's going to be something they'll have to keep in mind, because the cars, the GT3s, will seemingly kind of be all over the track.
Right now, Eric Bellata is got quite a big gap on him and Ken Huber. Definitely going to see these times start to drop. Really interesting how Paul Boyle handles this. I'm got to look on him for being at least the top 5 tonight. We'll see exactly how he takes that Lamborghini around.
Yeah, Paul Boyle right now sitting in only 24th place. We know he has the pace for more than that absolutely potential to win really any race. So interested to see how he does here today. Especially interesting to see Eric Bellata there on top. Not that it would be surprising to have him on pole, but Ken Huber during practice, which he just put in another lap there, still wasn't able to beat Bellata's time. Ken Huber was pretty dominant. I think at one point was 7/10 over the entire field.
Wow, that is quite impressive. Difficult to do in these in this series. Watching Nick Terrell right now, he's currently sitting on 119.705. Right behind him is Jay Smart. They got a really tight look on the same position, so it's going to be interesting to see who can get number 1, the pole position, and then also the other lane P1 spot.
Yeah, couldn't possibly be any closer than we had last week. Pole position for Nick Terrell by 1/1000th of a second over Paul Skip. Unfortunately, those two weren't the ones who ended up battling down to the end. But it certainly helped being able to start there on the front for Nick Terrell, and he'll be looking to try to replicate that again. But Paul Skip has now improved his time by a couple more tenths, and Jay Smart improves his time, not quite to Paul Skip's level, but hops Nick Terrell, and now puts himself into second place, just a tenth off.
Yes, indeed. Looking at James Rep, just behind him is Daniel Hingley. They are only 8 thousandths off. So they too are going to be close in contention with each other. Andrew Hicks is very close to that one as well, with the 131.125 just ahead of them. So that position right there, they're got a big fight going on just for that. Oh, Nick Terrell taking a spin in qualifying. He didn't leave the track, but that's going to ruin that lap for him.
Yeah, let's see. Not pulling up on my incident counter there because he didn't leave the track there, but yeah, ruined lap for him there, and maybe some overheated tires. He's gonna have to cool down. Should have another lap still in the bank to try to take that pole position, but sitting in third right now.
Yes, indeed. It's going to try and make it out and get a few more laps in, but he's got 4 laps to make something happen, and I think he's used at least 3 of them, so he might have one more shot at it.
We catch a spin on camera there for Jesse Coffey, making his way through the beginning of this track through Williams. Meanwhile, Paul Skip also just put in a time and increased by the necessary increase. He improved his time by just about a tenth, and now Jay Smart has closed that lead to just 400ths. But with Paul Skip parking it and Jay Smart parking it, I think that they are out of laps. So that may be it for those two. Jay Smart may be coming in just behind Paul Skip here, but I don't know if Nick Terrell's on track to. Yeah, he is. So let's see if he's able to take that first place spot among all 3 of those guys.
He's got one shot to do it. Eric Bellata still keeping that P1 spot for the GTDs. Ken Huber's trying, but I don't know if either of them have any more laps either. So the top of the field might be secured.
Yeah, Huber coming into the pits as well. So I do think that means that he's finished with his qualifying session. So you can see there in the GTPs, all the top 4 times so far, the Porsches, a popular pick here, and no Cadillac representation. A little bit of more variety there in the GTDs. So you can see Eric Bellata is on top with that Audi. Ken Huber representing that Lamborghini before being followed by a few more of the Porsches after that.
I'm kind of surprised we don't see more Ferraris out here tonight. It seems very Porsche heavy crowd once again. But the Audi showed a good amount of promise as well as the Ferrari. So it's very shocking to not see as many people driving. I know Rick Hughes is driving the Ferrari, so interested to see how he's going to run that. He's not looking in that great a position right now for qualifying, but we'll see what he can do in the race.
Zach Nurnberger and Travis Bell, 2 GT3s that look to be improving their time, both on all greens. Nurnberger with 4 green sectors. Let's see where that puts him. Moves his way up to 16th place with a 130.8.
He's about to cross the line as well, and he is all green as well, except for the final sector. Just over Jack Lucas with a 130.624. Jack Lucas riding 130.641, so he just barely squeezed that one out.
Jeff McDonald also putting in an extra time here at the end. Not an improvement, however, so finds himself there in 4th place. Good qualifying position for him here today in this race.
Absolutely.
Maybe a couple more guys with laps still to do. I see Jack Lucas and Lucas second time. Unfortunately, I curse him with the commentator's camera here as he comes out of last corner with a little bit of a spin. Looked like he may have been up on his time, but yeah, unfortunately that's going to undo it. Ryan Jeevan is out there, and Jeevan has some time to gain with 2 green sectors already, and I don't know what to tell you. I apologize, Ryan. It's the commentator's curse affecting him there.
I think it just has more to do with just the track, being as tiny as it is. It's got a lot of people on edge, and it looks like we're about 5 seconds from qualifying to be finished, and that'll close us up for the standings.
Everybody's wrapped up, so we will enter this warm-up session. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, verify these results, and get back to you for the start of the race. All right, we are back, and here are our qualifying results for today's Okayama Grand Prix.
Starting in pole position, we got Paul Skip with a 119.240. Just behind him, just 400s behind him, and Jace Martin P2. Behind him, we got Nick Carroll, Terry Calger, Miller Boyd, and Ryman Geeman. Sorry.
Then for the GTD runners, Eric Bellata in first with a 10. I don't have the time up there. Let me flip it around here. There we go. Eric Bellata there, first place with a 129.461, followed by Ken Huber, just 0.2 back. Travis Rowe and Jeff McDonald rounding out those top four. Following them, Nathan Westland and Jesse Coffey, with Nathan Westland getting the B-class pole. Tyler Langenberg and Josh Doty. Kevin Berquist and James Foreman round out the top 10. Following them, Paul Boyle, Aaron Claybaugh, Andrew Hicks, and Travis Bell, Jack Lucas, and Zach Nurnberger. Dale Hingley, Greg Holland, Richard Curry, Christopher Newby, James Repp, Keith Williams, Roger Schenk, Leonardo Elijah, Rick Hughes, Philip Ranieri, Todd Schneider, Dan Barnett. That rounds out our field, as I think they're coming to green like right now. So we got that spat out quick enough.
Wow. It is a little bit shorter of a track.
Sure enough, yeah, the pace car pulls in, so Paul Skip will be leading them. No passing until after turn 2, but after that, anything is down, and we do have Terry Calger Jr., as you can see there, in 4th place, returning to the field after we saw him in that first race and missed him for a couple since.
Green.
Paul Skip waiting for the green, gets the green flag. Everyone's going. No passing will be allowed, so keep an eye on any checkups for some potential incidents, but Paul Skip will lead them into first corner, then through Williams, and then he will be available to be attacked by Jay Smart behind.
Yeah, everybody's running clean. The GTDs as well. Eric Bellata maintaining place.
No major incidents so far. Jay Smart all over the back of Paul Skip. Nowhere to attack yet. Although this right here, this Atwood curve, is certainly going to be, I would say, probably the most popular passing opportunity on this track. We'll see as we get into race pace. But now coming down in the hairpin corner, Paul Skip might be attacked. Jay Smart pulling to the right side. I don't know if he's trying to make a move. He's going to pull back in.
I think he should take a look, feeling it out, making sure he doesn't mess anything up and, miss an opportunity straight off of the bat right at the race start.
Yeah, you want to play it a little bit safe, and I think most of the drivers in the field have. I do have no incidents so far in this tight, twisty circuit. We see Eric Bellata here leading the field now through Piper Corner, heading down to Redmond Corner, which I think Redmond Corner will be the corner where we have the most incidents. So far, no incidents for any drivers. Aaron Claybaugh and Andrew Hicks swapping positions back and forth a few times there on this opening lap.
Like Travis Rowe was taking a look at a position as well for P2 under Ken Huber. Didn't really have a chance to make it happen, but he's definitely looking aggressive and looking like he's ready to make a move.
Meanwhile, also at the GTPs, everybody's still very close to each other. And closest right now, Terry Calger Jr. trying to catch up to Nick Terrell, who's lost touch a little bit of Jay Smart ahead.
It's like Andrew Hicks is the only person to make a pass down in P12 in the GTDs. Everybody else holding position.
Might as well give the pass some flowers here. Let's see what that move was. They switched back and forth a few times. Andrew Hicks in the black car and Aaron Claybaugh in the red as they fight through Piper Corner on the outside. Just nothing, I think that... Oh, yeah, Aaron Claybaugh gets it back at the apex, but then loses the position again as they then head down into Redmond Corner.
Didn't quite have the momentum to hang on to it, but that was some really good racing straight at the beginning of the race, and usually they don't get that aggressive, at least in the very beginning, because they're all trying to play it safe and just survive.
Yeah, brave move to make early, but certainly had the space. Both drivers did it quite cleanly, so nice move by both guys. A couple spots further back right now. Flipping positions, Philip Ranieri, I think just reclaimed, or Rick Hughes, I think just reclaimed the position on Philip Ranieri. Yeah, they've been flipping positions a couple times over the last few corners. Looks like that has settled again.
The people are taking some looks, but they're not getting too risky yet.
Yeah, everybody in general about less than a second from each other, but the sub half second gaps not quite as common. And like I said, it is a twisty circuit. Can be difficult to follow through some of these corners. but it should be, I mean, one that drivers have a good amount of experience on. Maybe not in these cars specifically, but this being one of the free tracks, this will be a lot of these guys is one of the first few tracks they raced on this service, probably in the Mazdas.
Definitely been available for a lot of people. Yeah, the Miatas was a great place to start here in iRacing. So I did exactly the same thing, as well as doing some of the NASCAR stuff. But I made sure to definitely get an Okayama and the Miatas. Paul Skip is hanging out.
Oh, Jeff
Looks like he's got a
McDonald.
little bit of a cushion.
What has happened to Jeff McDonald? I think maybe just connection issues for Jeff. That's a false alarm there. No, maybe not, because I do see he's down 7 spots. I can't figure out what happened to him, but he's definitely lost some spots.
Could have been off track, and other people took advantage as he rejoined a bit slower, very potentially. Got Terry Cowder Jr. Looking to make a move on Nick Terrell. It's getting pretty close, so I think he's waiting for the right time to make that pass.
Yeah, he's dealing with, obviously, Miller Boyd right behind him as well. Again, couple different apexes you can take in that corner, couple different racing lines. You can see both Nick Terrell and Terry Cowder Jr. showing off the 2 different ways you can take that, and it seems like they're pretty evenly matched now as they come back down the straight into hairpin corner.
It's like Ryan Jeevens just trying to catch up, still pretty much driving by himself at the moment. The GTDs behind him.
Yeah, not too terribly far back, but enough to watch the guys in front and certainly capitalize if anything happens. Up ahead, you can see Jay Smart is tailing Paul Skip, but not close enough to really threaten, but also not close enough to be threatened by Nick Terrell behind as well.
Kevin Burnquist out there hanging out by himself as well. They are evenly spaced back there, all just playing it safe, making sure to get some laps in.
Yeah,
Maybe save some tires. Yeah,
I don't think anybody's taking too many big risks here early. We've not seen a lot of positions flopped, except for we can see there, of course, in the top positions. See Andrew Hicks and Eric Claybaugh, they switched first lap, and there's a slow GT3 on the outside there. I think that is Todd Schneider. Might be some damage to the car. I don't see any visual damage, but I do know he had an incident earlier.
It was probably just car contact, I imagine.
Hopefully able to get back into the pits, get a fast repair, and keep going here in this race.
Tyler Langenberg taking a look on Jesse Coffey. Also still just playing it safe there. I think he's just gathering intel right now, feeling the track out, feeling the temps of the tires.
Slow down potentially for Paul Boyle. I think Paul Boyle may have earned himself a bit of an off track there, as he clearly gave the position to Jeff McDonald, and I think probably just burning off some time that he needed to there for a black flag.
Now, this is a real special track. I don't know if you know, but the only 2 times that Formula One ever raced here, Michael Schumacher clinched the win both times, and he still is the current holder of the fastest lap at a 1:14.
Yeah, they honestly, GTP's not too far off from those times right now. As you can see, Skip's time he just put in was a high 119. Most of the other guys hovering around that, mid to low 120 mark, and the GT3's quite a bit more off of that. They're just about that 130. We've seen Eric Blada and Ken Huber break into the 129s, but for the most part, everybody in the 30s and 31s.
There's a lot of different technology back then in the 90s, a lot different rubber on the tires. Oh, Todd Schneider getting a little loose underneath of him, taps the wall. Looks like he's going to have to do a U-turn real quick, and it looks like he's waiting for traffic to come. Make sure no traffic's coming. So there he goes, getting back straight again.
Let's see, it doesn't look like and actually, as we're speaking of some traffic, Paul Skip here has now just started to make his way through this GT3 field, and he's catching up in some of the worst sections of the track. As you can see there, he's just stymied by that 47 Porsche in front. No fault of the Porsche. The Porsche even goes a little bit wide to give him some extra room, but just struggling to make anything work here.
I think there's going to be a lot of slowdown times for the GTPs to deal with the traffic and just make it safe for everybody to continue to race and not push anybody off track or anything like that. So it's going to be a way more difficult track for the GTPs than it is the Ds.
Yeah, the GTD class should be able to mostly run the race. They do have to be aware of the GTPs coming up and give them room where they can. But this is the section right here where I said there may be some miscommunications as Paul Skip handles it well, as J Smart too. But J Smart has used this traffic to now catch up to just 0.8 as they both slip through there through Atwood Curve.
Yeah, Jay Smart looks like he's caught up to him just a little bit because of this traffic. So right now he's currently on a run. He's on a run, and he's coming up on another GTC.
There's room. They're side by side.
He's not gonna make it happen, but you know he's right there, and I think he's making Paul sweat a little bit.
Yeah, Skip using that Mercedes there as a bit of a pick, because I think that Jay Smart in an empty track probably would have been able to have that run on him, but with the GT3 in the way, Smart unable to really make that send, at least in a safe manner.
Indeed, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that today. So far, relatively safe race, a few little off tracks and minor incidents, but nothing major yet.
Not the position this BMW wants to be in. Split left and right by the two GTPs. Paul Skip still coming out on top.
GTP sandwich.
We do have an incident for Greg Holland in the GTDs. Let's see what happened here. We just saw him on screen a little bit ago. Hopefully this doesn't involve one of the H's trying to make a move and just the slightest of contacts.
Just got under him a little bit, and you know they were both tight on each other, and that little bit just was enough to spin him around.
Yeah, I just don't think he quite had the overlap to really kind of earn space in that corner. It was a little bit late, and I don't think the guy in front really was expecting that to happen.
Not at all.
The GTPs are now filtering their way through the field. It is not really separating the GT3s. I mean, we have a lot of close battles still. As we can see, they're all next to each other, so it's not breaking up those battles. It has broken up the battles in the GTP class itself, though. Obviously, Jay Smart keeping up with Paul Skip, but now 3 seconds back to Nick Terrell there in third.
Yeah, I think if you get too many cars in between you, too many GT3s, then you got too much in the way to be able to really catch back up. You're gonna have to take advantage on your own on the track instead of just following their racing line.
Yeah, and it's going to keep getting harder as they now are making their way through this first lapping event, and they're getting to the denser part of the field. And Jay Smart has taken the lead over Paul Skip. Jay Smart has taken the lead.
Yeah, so he really took a risk down that straightaway, but that was a good opportunity. I think the straightaway is going to be one of the bigger passing opportunities for this track today.
Tight with Jeff McDonald there, and Paul Skip nowhere to go, has to back out of it. Had a bit of a run, but couldn't make anything happen. Again, the GT3s just getting in the way a little bit. Paul Skip on a little bit of an attacking line, just filling up the side mirror of Jay Smart a bit.
And Jay looks like he's really close there.
See, by the way, this is where that pass came from. Paul Skip making minor contact with one of the GT3s, and that's where that time was lost.
Yeah. Little dab will do, and that's all Jay needed to make that action happen.
And all of a sudden, look at that. There is Nick Terrell, who for one second there was sub 1 second to those two guys. So I kind of acted like he was out of this, and all of a sudden, with this traffic management, he is back in this battle for first place, not just for third.
Yeah, he is coming up to them. They can probably see him in the rear view, knowing that he's one of the more aggressive drivers out here in those cars, and he's not scared to make a move. Give people some sweaty palms as he goes around them.
So you can see there the lap times differing between Jay Smart and Paul Skip outside of lap 4, but yeah, now 5 laps in a row, Jay Smart has had a faster lap than Paul Skip, as of course he's ahead now. Skip has the opportunity to try to catch up. They've only got a couple GT3s now to look for. They've got the top two guys who have really started to pull away from the field, and Ken Huber and Eric Bellata. And after that, it's a long amount of clean tracks so far, at least. It may get busier as we get later in the race, but they should have a while to really just race each other.
Derek Hauger Jr. is making some risks here to make a pass on the GT3. He had to go off track to make the pass happen. So he's trying everything he can to catch back up to the top of the field. He's still about four and a half seconds off, I believe. Now he's back up to almost 6 seconds off, so he's definitely experiencing some traffic issues.
Yeah, there's a bit of a luck of the draw as well, and going off track doesn't typically make you that much faster, but sometimes in a traffic situation can help. Meanwhile, these two locked, nose to tail, 2/10 between them as they've now completed their way through the entire GT3 field. And we'll see where this evolves from here. Again, very close in qualifying, just 400ths slower for Jay Smart. I think Paul Skip was faster for most of the practice session as well, but will he be able to convert that into a pass for first place? And also, what about Nick Terrell there in third, who's now looming just 1 second back?
He's definitely showing up to the fight. Ryan Jeevan looks like he's still trying. He came into a near contact moment with a GT3, trying to continue with this race. I know he's struggling a little bit.
Travis Bell just making that move down the straight on Aaron Clayball. Let's take a look at their replays. We see that move completed. Just had that overspeed with a little bit of draft. I don't know if that's car-based or if maybe Clayball just a bit of a weak exit there in last corner.
Once again, they utilized the straightaway to make that pass happen.
And it's not the longest straight. The longer straight is here, what they're about to join as they head down into Hairpin Corner. But maybe the geometry of last corner just gives them a little bit more of a passing opportunity. We haven't seen a lot of moves actually made down into here.
Yeah, it could be how they enter and exit the turns, what's going on with their momentum as they exit, and that could be part of the reason for that.
Paul Boyer here in 11th place, where he qualified. And defending from Andrew Hicks behind in that black Porsche, but also trying to catch up ahead to James Foreman in the green Porsche. A lot of Porsche representatives, especially in that top middle part of the field. But maybe there's a secret sauce to what Eric Blada and Ken Huber are using, because neither of them using that car.
Yeah, it's been a favorite of the season so far. Eric Blada is still hanging out in front, but Ken Huber, he's only a second off, so he's staying with him. Probably just running his clean race and he's going to wait for his own opportunity. Also, we're going to have to save tires. Do we have a pit window?
I mean, with the 85% fuel, other than Daytona, we've seen the GT3s able to make it past that 45-minute mark and make it a one-stop. So that probably, given how tight this track is, that's probably going to be what these guys aim for, is the 45 to 50-minute mark.
Fair enough, and that's going to be tough to do, because if they can make it, that's going to save them a whole pit stop, which is probably about, over a minute, well over a minute, just to refuel and get tires. So that will definitely save your race if you can make it a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Brad McCombs in Sebring, who had a stellar pace, top 3 pace in that race, but with the strategy that he had, he ended up having to make another stop, and I think he ended up finishing outside of the top 10 as a result. So, yeah, I mean, you would have to have just absolutely ludicrous pace to make up for eliminating that extra pit stop. So that's going to be on the mind of all these guys. Considering we did see it from most drivers at Sebring, and even I think pretty much everybody at IMS, I think this should be easier than those tracks to make that happen. Oh, Jack Lucas is sideways. He just made, I think, a passing attempt. Let's see what happens to him here.
Yeah. He's had some trouble at Sebring as well, so I know he's disappointed about that. Ooh. A little bit of contact on the bumper, just had more momentum. Luckily, only he spun, and not both of them.
You can see from his perspective here in his car, and I think just the Lamborghini ahead approaching him a little faster than he expected. And that's a long front to that Mercedes as well.
Sure is. It is a long car. Paul Boyle putting the pressure on James Foreman. They're still riding nice and behind Kevin Berquist, but for that P16, P17, for, I guess that's the full field, for P11, they're really trying.
I wouldn't say this is the hardest track in the world to make a pass on, but it is tighter than some others, making overtaking a little bit more difficult. And as a result, I think the pit strategy, it is an interesting conundrum that they're dealt with, because they want to make it so it's a one-stop. So they got to at least make it to that 45-minute mark, or average that between the two stops, or the two stints. But the idea is, you want to try to undercut or overcut your opponent as much as possible, and they're not going to have a huge window in which they can kind of vary that strategy.
So I think a lot of it is safe playing, just trying to get to that part get to that mark, get those tires, and once we see those pit stops happen, I think they're going to turn it up a notch.
And right there, as you can see on the left side of the screen, that pit entry, that is not an actual pit entry. And we may see a couple drivers who maybe, if they didn't practice the pit entry enough, it is a really early pit entry that they have to enter in as like a commitment line. That extra one is not meant for pit entry. If you do that, you will get a drive-through penalty, or at least like a 40-second hold. It will ruin your race, and we've seen it happen here before.
And I won't doubt that we will see it here tonight as well.
Flip Ranieri makes the move on James Rep as James Rep goes off track in that orange Mercedes.
He held it together quite nice though. Rejoined still with some considerable speed, so he might be able to do something. Jack Lucas really putting the pressure on Christopher Newby, trying to get back on pace. Right up on the bumper. He's a little off now, playing it safe, but he was looking for that move.
Interesting story to follow here. Miller Boyd there has just put in the fastest lap of the race for the GTP. So he's trying to catch his way up to Terry Kiger Jr. there, who's sitting in fourth. Miller Boyd in fifth. Miller was on on pace for a potential podium last week at IMS before I think he had hardware issues and ended up taking him out of the race. And now he's just put in the fastest lap for the field by by a tenth over what Nick Terrell's been able to do as well. So pretty impressive time so far.
Indeed, if he can catch up to Terry Kiger Jr., you might have a chance to sit on that podium today. It's going to be tough to catch up to Nick Terrell, Paul Skip, and Jay Smart. I think they are in a league of their own right now. We never know what's going to happen with traffic, so it's important to try and stay up there without burning up too much fuel.
Paul Skip nearly making the move there, thinking about it here now because they come through last corner. This is where he lost the spot. Looks like Jay Smart really nailed the exit there. Paul Skip having to avoid the Mercedes on the exit and had just for a second maybe a glimmer of a hope for a pass, but that is faded away. And there's some smoke ahead. That is looks like that didn't include Jay Smart, but both cars slowing up and Nick Terrell now included.
They're giving it everything right now. You know, Jay is very nervous. He's making the drive of his life right now as if, oh, here he's going for the pass.
Yeah, and that's damage. That is damage to the front of Jay Smart's car. I don't know how bad it is, but it's enough for him to lose the position here in Atwood Curve. He may be able to use this draft from the GT3s, but I think he's going to get boxed in by Paul Skip here, able to squeeze his way into the middle. Nick Terrell leering behind. Paul Skip on the inside, down hairpin, and it looks like he's going to maintain first. I think he still has to defend now as he goes through Revolver. A little bit squirrely by both cars.
Come so close to touching there. Jay is getting everything he got. He wants to maintain that P1, and I don't think he's going to hold on to it. Looks like that damage might have a little bit of an effect on him.
Skip with just enough room to make his way over to get around the GT3s. If Jay Smart was just a little bit more ahead, he could have really tactically boxed him in, but unfortunately didn't have the ability to do that there. And now they're going to make their way through the final corner. So the first place position has swapped back to Paul Skip, and Nick Terrell again just in the picture there for the top three.
And it looks like the GT3s are all staying very separated. It's like they are on their own strategy compared to the LMPs. They are on a play it safe and save that gas strategy.
Again, another potential slowdown for Paul Boyle, as I think maybe he's going out wide on that last corner. Very easy to do so, and you do get a slowdown when you do that. So I think that's been the bane so far now of a couple laps for Paul Boyle.
And Miller Boyd has caught up to Terry Kiger Jr. and it looks like he is trying to make a run on him right now as they come up on Jack Lucas.
Down the back straight, no attack here, but they got to make their way through some tough traffic. 4 cars all in a row here. See where they pick their spots.
Yeah, it is getting a little tight-knit for them right now, but still giving everything he can to stay on that bumper. Try and make a move, and maybe he'll make it happen in the straightaway, like we've seen them doing a lot already.
Miller, the only driver in the GTP class here today using the BMW. We have seen Dennis Diaz use it in the races he's been here, but we are missing him here today. But we do have Terry Kiger Jr. back.
Looks like he got held up a little bit, so make some space in between them now, which Miller Boyd absolutely appreciates.
in that battle they just went by. Also one of the tightest in the field for the GT3s. Jack Lucas here, following Chris Newby, Richard Curry, and Daniel Hingley. All four of these guys fighting for that 17th spot.
Jack is really trying to make it up since he's had that spin. Actually, 2 spins, I believe he's had. So he's trying to make it happen today.
No moves being made here as they a possible passing opportunity that they have in Atwood, but honestly I haven't really seen too many moves made in there. It is a little bit easier in the slower cars, slower than GT3. I mean, Mazdas or more nimble stuff like Formula cars into that corner, and maybe just going through that S section, it's just not really possible for these guys to follow and make that lunge.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to get a lot of speed and be able to make opportunity, but if there's traffic, there's nothing you can do. You just got to hold your spot, get through it, and then push around them when you finally get some space. It's like Aaron Clayball is still trying to make something happen on Paul. Don't know if he's going to really put the push on him. I think he should stand with him, and if an opportunity arises, he will take it. As we've seen Paul have a few incidents running off track, he might be looking to take advantage of that.
Paul Boyle and Aaron Claybaugh teammates, but that has never stopped them from racing each other extra hard. They know each other's limits. They know where each other excels at and maybe where their weaknesses are. Do a lot of practice ahead of time, both them and Nicholas Paletti and Travis Bell. And we'll see if this turns out to be a good battle. We have seen them battle a lot in the past, but I think this season so far they've been kind of separated.
Yeah, Travis is having a rougher season this time, and it looks like he's about midfield for his class. So he's driving the Mercedes, which we know he doesn't like to get out of that car. He won't get in anything else. He tries other cars, but he always seems to go for that Mercedes.
Got the 3 guys next to each other on track. This battle has gotten closer as Terry Cowger Jr. and Miller Boyd make their way through this pack. And Joshua Doty making the move on Jesse Coffey right in front of Miller Boyd. Miller nowhere to go as it's already too wide between the 2 GT3s.
He's having to struggle right now just to get around them. Meanwhile, Nick Terrell is only 1.3 off of Jay Smart. Trying to look at that P2 position.
It's a nice move by Doty, just claiming that inside and forcing Jesse Coffey to yield as they make their way through the apex.
Got Keith Williams trying to make a lunge on Roger. Just looks like he got the door shut on him a little earlier than he was hoping for. But he's going down the straightaway, and he might have a look. I don't know if he's going to catch him quite here, so maybe next time.
Tyler Langenberg also here, very close to Nathan Westland. Nathan Westland, the leader for the B class, got pole position, and also now, again, 3 positions ahead of his competitor in Jesse Coffey, but still, every position matters, and so the points for 4th are still points for 4th, so he'll be defending this from Tyler Langenberg as if they were in the same class.
Christopher Newby still getting the pressure on from Jack Lucas. But in front of them, Richard Curry is pulled away. He's still fighting with Daniel Hingley, but they are not as much of the same pack as they once were.
Those top 2 in the GT3s, I haven't talked about them much as they have not really encountered a lot of drama, but they are absolutely stepping away from everybody else. So you can see them both on screen here. Not too far separated from each other, though they haven't really battled, but they are a full 12 seconds ahead of Travis Rowe, who's in 3rd place. In a really strong and large GT3 field that we have, these 2 have really set themselves apart.
We can see Tyler Langenberg, Nathan Westland both fighting for that P3 spot against Travis. They are all about half a second from each other. Don't know if they're going to, once again, be too aggressive yet, but they're waiting for any opportunity that arises.
It's like
same with
Zach Nuremberger making his way through some lapped traffic as he also is now joining this battle. So Again, we already saw Aaron Claybaugh catching up to Paul Boyle. Now Paul Boyle's also caught up to Travis Bell, and then Nürnberger has caught up to the back of Claybaugh. So what was a 2-car battle is now quickly turning into a 4-car affair.
Yeah, this track is very alive tonight. We will say that. Not too much damage action, but there's been a lot of shakeups, and traffic is definitely making it a lot more difficult for GTPs to want to drive their line and also make those passes.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of scuffed paint on Jay Smart's Porsche GTP, and I think that's pretty much it. I think we haven't really seen any other damage incidents, not even really any major spins that we've seen for the most part. So it's been a very clean start to this race. We're already about a third of the way through.
Yep, indeed. Keith Williams still there on Roger Shank's bumper. Taking a look. Richard Curie is in front of him. Yeah, he's starting to hang back a little bit, get closer back to Roger and Keith. But it looks like those two are just hanging out and running their own race.
Nathan Westland there and Tyler Langenberg making their way past Travis Rowe. Travis Rowe goes wide in the final corner, was in third place, and now lost 2 spots down to 5th. Battle's still not over for him. So he's trying to fight back here. Still very close between all 3 of these, but it just allows those top 2 to continue to step away even further.
Indeed. See, a lot of times they're, kind of doing like a slinky effect, how they're kind of back and forth in between each minor little pack that's running around. But for the most part, they're still just holding on to their positions, only taking opportunity when it's not too much of a risk.
Yeah, right now, no risks being taken by these 3, but staying nice and close. And this is the battle for the overall podium. However, again, Nathan Westland, who's leading this trio in the B class, so secure lead on the B class win so far for Nathan Westland, and he has about 5 or 6 seconds to Jesse Coffey behind as well.
That's a pretty solid gap, so he should be pretty comfortable with that. It's like Kevin Burnquist still got Foreman hanging out right behind him. That's Audi versus Porsche as well.
We've seen
I believe Eric Bellotto's in the Porsche or the Audi, so, but he's the only one up there right at the top spot in the Audi. Everyone else seems to be locked into that Porsche.
Yeah, the Audi's
except for
the
Ken
newest.
Huber.
Yeah, Ken Huber there in the Lamborghini.
He's the only one up there.
Audi's definitely. I mean, it's the newest car. And so it was exciting for people to use, but I think a lot of people found issues with it. We saw some kind of symptomatic things that we would see over and over. Some slow spins that the car would have, and I think it turned a lot of people away from it. The Porsche just continues to be a very planted and well-rounded car.
Yeah, it certainly does. Looks like he's coming up on Greg Holland, going to put a lap on him. Greg Holland, I think, is just trying to secure some points and put some laps down. He had some misfortune earlier on in the race. It's brought him down. So they'll be quickly making his way around him. Ken Huber hoping to catch back up. He's only a second and a half off, so he's still back there, but not necessarily catching a draft. Greg Holland is a little bit off track, just trying to give Eric the room he needs. So once again, rough incident for Greg.
Tyler Langenberg trying to make the move down the inside, disappears from view, and I think Nathan Westland a little bit hesitant to make the defense on an invisible car, but he's going to try to take it around the outside. I don't think it's going to work, so he's going to fall back to second in this group of 3, still first for his class, but 4th overall. Langenberg up 4 spots now. We don't have a lot of guys who have gained a lot of spots in this race, and actually he is the example of the driver who's claimed the most spots.
Zach Nuremberg just had contact, got a spin, and had to wait for traffic to come back around.
So he's going to make
the pass
down the inside on Aaron Claybaugh.
He went for it, and I guess Claybaugh thought he was going to back off, and he did not. So looks like he paid the price for that one.
Yeah, it was a little bit late. I think a little bit of responsibility on both drivers there. I think.
Hanley, same thing on Nuremberg.
Nuremberger just trying to get back to pace. Paul Skip there on the inside. So we lose sight of that. So I think Skip may be touching the rear quarter panel of Hingley there. Let's take another look at that.
And it looks like he got a piece of another Porsche driving by.
Paul Skip off track to try to pass both of these guys, and Hingley just not aware of that GTP as he's trying to battle with Zach Nurnberger ahead. Doesn't look like any damage for those guys except for that number 83 that he unfortunately collides with there in the apex.
That was Richard Curie. So those are starting to get a little heated up. Maybe the track's warming up. Them tires starting to get a little loose on them.
See if anybody comes in to make repairs or not.
Yeah, it looks like he's going a little slow, but could just be him getting back up to speed with those tires, having the grass on him, have to shake that off. Paul Boyle still putting a little bit of pressure on Travis, but I think he's not trying to pass. He's just staying with him.
Yeah, I think Richard Curry may have some pretty bad damage to the cars. He's gone off track 3 times in this lap, just trying to make his way around. And I think maybe some bad wheel geometry damage they had. It did hit him in a bad spot there, unfortunately, in that incident there in Atwood Curve.
Yeah, it could also potentially be steering rack related as well. Oh, Paul Boyle just make the move on Travis as Jay Smart went through the both of them. So it looks like he took Paul took advantage of that situation to make a move on Travis.
Yeah, that was interesting. Travis really pulled out to the side. I don't know if maybe he had some kind of slowdown that he needed to serve, but it seemed a pretty easy overtake. Again, they could be working together, too. They are teammates, so absolutely a possibility.
Yeah, he could just also be playing it safe, getting out of the way of Jay Smart. Nick Terrell now going through them, and Paul Boyle not giving any window. He's saying, you're going to have to wait for me, bud.
Yeah, speaking of Jay Smart there, puts in a purple Sector 2 for this race, so fastest Sector 2 of the entire GTP field. And, of course, by necessity, the entirety of the whole field. And caught up to Paul Skip on that lap as Paul struggled a little bit with the traffic, I think, there in Sectors 2 and 4.
Yeah, Aaron Clayball in the pits now in that Lamborghini. Doesn't look like he has damage, so I'm curious if he's just getting tires or what he's doing.
I mean, we know he made that collision with Zach Nurnberger, and that was not a big collision, but potentially, I don't have a track on the incident points. I don't know if maybe he has a drive-through already earned at this point, although that would probably surprise me.
Yeah, doesn't look like he really had damage, so it could have just been taking tires and gas, but I don't know why he come in so early.
He's already on the way out. I think that may have just been a drive-through. That would be a surprising result this soon into the race, but that was so short that he had there. I don't even think he was set long enough to do anything.
Yeah, it looks like no repair, so it could be penalized that he was trying to serve.
So you can see that GT3 field, some battles starting to spread out a little bit as the traffic is, and also natural pace, just kind of stratifying this field, but still some guys close to each other. And Nathan Westland, one of those guys who's trying to keep up. He's being passed by the leaders of the GTPs right now, and he's in the lead for the B class, but trying to get to that overall podium again.
Millard Boyd still putting the pressure on Terry Calgar Jr. Hasn't been able to make it happen yet, but he's right there with him. They're getting caught up by GT3, but it looks like Millard didn't want to try and push around. He just said, I'm just going to stay behind and find my own way around you. He's still trying.
Yeah, he's looked ultra fast out here, but hasn't made any really daring moves so far on Terry Calgar Jr. Biding his time. Still plenty left in this race. We're not even halfway, so a lot of opportunities to make, and any one of these traffic events could be one where he takes advantage of.
He's staying there, and he's going in right now. He's taking...
That's a bit of a risk there.
Yeah, it looks like he definitely shouldn't have taken that risk, but, he had the window open, and he got shut out by Terry Calgar Jr.
Yeah, appropriate reaction to it.
He stayed with him, so he's going to be continuing to make it happen.
GT3 letting them both take the inside line there. Yeah, both classes doing a pretty good job of operating this delicate ballet that they have to with give and take, because it's not all on one class or the other. Both classes really participate towards a clean overtake that minimizes time loss for both guys.
I mean, ideally, the GT3s are the slow cars. They're going to be the ones that, are mostly going to be driving their line. The GTPs are going to have to find their way around, but they are both getting out of each other's way in a very respectful way. So that's probably the main reason why it's been such a clean race today so far.
And not a lot of slip-ups there in the Moss S either, which I had predicted, but has not come to pass so far. And, yeah, Miller Boyd's still giving Terry Cowger a run for his money, but we've only seen one attempt made. It was here at the end of the hairpin corner. I doubt he tries the same move, and it doesn't look like he has the run to do so anyway. Terry defending the, well, not really defending the inside, actually making the pass, but locks up a little bit there, though.
He is definitely feeling the struggle. Paul Skip has made a 1.3-second interval on Jay Smart and pulling away quickly. So I'm wondering if there's an incident with Jay. Oh, he's just getting held up by Eric Bellotta through those S's, and he just got in the rear bumper of him too. So it looks like that was his way of saying, "Hey, buddy, I need to go."
Yeah, you can see there now down to about 3 seconds gap between those two. A 1:21.0 for that lap time for Paul and a 1:22 for Jay Smart. Big difference there on that lap, unfortunately. Miller Boyd might have the run here to make a move into first corner. He's moving to the inside, he's so close, but doesn't have that run to actually make it happen in the braking zone.
I think he had a little bit of a flashback from the last time he tried to make a move and says, "Oh, we're not going to do that again. We're not going to make the same mistake twice."
He's definitely keeping
Jay
close.
Smart.
The GTP's probably not too far out from their pits either. I don't think so far we've been able to see any of them stretch it to that 45-minute mark and make a one-stop happen. So they've generally been pitting around this time and a splash and dash at the end of the race.
We are 5 minutes away from the halfway period, so if they can make it, then that's
Miller Boyd
definitely
making the move down
strategy.
a big lockup into the gravel, not able to make it stick. Was a daring move and smart by Terry Cowger Jr. to, I think, probably see that wasn't going to stick.
Wow, man, he is really giving it everything, trying to make his way up to the podium. But I think he's being a little too reckless, and he sees that checkered flag in the distance and doesn't realize that it's a little farther away than he might think it is.
Yeah, you could see when it started to lock up there in the middle of the corner. What started out pretty well. I think that he had the potential maybe to actually get it slowed down, actually, yeah, you can see there. By the way, you're talking about Bellotta getting tapped a little bit by Jay Smart, and there's some damage to the rear of that car, as you can see from Ken Huber's point of view through those bars.
It was a pretty gnarly hit. He didn't tap him. He said hello quite sternly.
Well, and since that point, Ken Huber's caught up, and Bellotta's been slower in every sector over this last lap, now 5 sectors in a row, and I'm wondering if that's been an effect on his pace. I mean, it's not a huge difference between them, but they were close already, so it didn't take much for these two guys to get into a close battle.
Precisely. If Huber can keep up the pace he's been running all night, then he's going to be definitely looking at making a move on Eric Bellotta, if that is the case. And I did see him come on chat. I didn't hear what he said, but I don't think he was too happy with that move by Jay.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it was intentional, but
Yeah, Bellotta only has to make it a few more laps to get to that halfway point where he can then get a repair done. So we see Jeff McDonald into the pits, and again, that is definitely before the 45-minute mark.
He may have been pushing really hard. We'll see if anyone can stretch it. So if they're going in currently with still 3 minutes to that halfway part, which is almost full 3 laps, that's a considerable amount of gas. So we might start seeing them roll in, or we'll have to be surprised to see if anyone makes it.
Yeah, we got about 2 laps now. So lap 34 will take them to that halfway point. And so far, almost nobody coming into the pits, but we have seen a couple guys with some damage have to do so. Yeah, like Zach Nurnberger, Aaron Claybaugh, 2 guys who pit earlier. Aaron Claybaugh may have been a penalty, and Zach Nurnberger, we did see at least a couple contacts that he had, so maybe some damage to fix on his end.
Yeah, I know there's a little bit of damage out there. Hopefully nothing that takes anybody a whole lot of time to repair once they do come into the pits.
And Travis Bell coming into the pits too.
It does take quite a bit of time to fill these cars up to 80% fuel.
Yeah, the pit time can also help take you over that 45-minute mark, but it is if that is the winning strategy, if that's the possible strategy, that is an early pit there for Travis Bell. It was fighting back there with his teammates Paul Boyle and Aaron Claybaugh for a good part of this race.
Indeed. Yeah, looks like Jeff McDonald's still hanging in there with Keith Williams. Don't know if he's going to be taking the risk yet. Might just be waiting to go in the pits and see how that goes. You know, if you missed your pit stall off by a little bit and you have to back up or something, that's going to shake up your time.
Well, McDonald
Hopefully
just came out of the pits. He's probably got the cold tires that he's got to be getting up to temp here, as he just made that stop last lap.
Oh, wow. Okay. So he is definitely on a different strategy than Keith Williams. Williams still on those old hot tires. Could be just about as loose as McDonald, but as those tires get up to speed, get up to temp, they are going to start to stick for him.
See, and as we see these guys now crossing the finish line, that confirms that next time they come around, it will be past the 45-minute mark. So if they pit this lap, they'll be past that point. And you have to wonder, with so many of these guys, as you can see, staying out, if that kind of dooms the few drivers who have had to make a pit stop already in this race.
I'm sure it's going to definitely make a difference once we get to the checkered flag.
Paul Boyle coming into the pits one lap earlier than most drivers, but the length of the stop will take him over that 45-minute mark at least. But we'll see where this shakes out post pit stop here, because like I said, it doesn't seem like there's going to be much of an opportunity for an undercut for a lot of these guys, and it's just going to be based on how fast you can get in and out of the pits.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully a lot of them practice going into those pit stalls. It is a smaller pit lane than we might be used to, so you got to get used to that, and hopefully you don't miss it, because that'll kill your time as well.
So
Nick Terrell is trying so hard, but he's still got 3.5 seconds off from Jay Smart. Jay Smart still 5 seconds off from Paul Skip, not able to pick back up after he got stopped by traffic. So that definitely put a big damper on his race.
Yeah, an interesting result to see. They were so close to each other before. The pit stop there for Tyler Langenberg, but still some guys staying out. Both Ken Bellata and Ken Huber there. Eric Bellata and Ken Huber, excuse me, as the top two staying out. Nathan Westland is the leader of the GT3Bs staying out. So still, most people looks like not making their pit stop yet.
They might have more gas than we might think they have.
Oh, and a spin right in front of Nathan Westland, able to avoid it. I think that was Greg Holland.
Yeah, it looks like he did reset. Looks like he did get a tow back to the pits.
I'm more surprised to actually see anybody pit before that 45-minute mark here at this pretty tight circuit. I mean, I wouldn't be thinking they'd be burning more fuel than they did at Sebring, where we saw everybody but save a couple guys to make it to that point. The GTPs, even, as you can see here, making it past that halfway point as well, which is not something we've seen at any of the tracks so far.
But it is interesting, because you got to think since they have more gas than we thought they did, then there's two strategies here that I see. Is you could pit right at that halfway point, or they could have pit a little early, knowing full and well that they were going to make it if they got, because that could be maybe what Travis did. He knew he was going to make that pit stop a little earlier than everyone else, and by the time he gets to the end of the race, his gas tank should be very close to empty. Hopefully not empty, but that might be a good strategy.
Yeah, it could be the answer to doing a little bit of an undercut. And I think probably Jeff McDonald's pit was probably the start of that window kind of opening up. And I think the ones we saw a little bit before that, like Aaron Claybaugh, which I don't even think he stopped for fuel, I think his was a little bit different. But yeah, maybe trying to execute that undercut. Jeff McDonald was involved in a close battle, as in, where is he sitting right now? I mean, we still see him. I guess most people still haven't made their pit, so it still hasn't fully shaken out for him.
Looks like Eric Bellata had slowed down going into the pit lane by another slow driver, and he was definitely right up on him. So that's going to hold him up a little bit.
Tyler Langenberg here has already made his pit stop. He's charging his way back through the field, trying to get slowed down as little as possible as he's virtually racing these other drivers on track. And you see in the background there why it would be so easy to pick up a slowdown in that last corner. It's just begging for you to go out a little bit wide. It's one of the only parts of this track that has a little bit of runoff. It's still gravel right outside the runoff, but it does have a bit of an extended curve to it.
Yeah, so maybe you can hang on to your traction at least, whether you get the off track or not. It's like Tyler Langenberg is still trying to push on Hingley. Now, I can't remember if either of them, or no, Tyler Langenberg, he went in for tires. I don't know if Hingley has yet.
Hingley has not stopped yet, so Langenberg not really fighting, at least, for race position here with Hingley, but looks like they're keeping about pace with each other. Ken Huber and Nathan Westland both coming into the pits as the two leaders of their class. And as you said, Eric Bellata seemed like he got a little bit slowed down on the way into the pit stops. This may give Ken Huber the lead coming out, as they were very close coming into this pit cycle.
May well be able to do the overcut. Jay Smart in his pit box, approaching it now.
Ken Huber is exiting, and Eric Bellata back here just now making his way through the final corner. I think he may lose this first position. Ken Huber's on track and quite a bit ahead of Eric Bellata. So huge win for Ken Huber in the pit cycle here.
Yeah, that little incident didn't seem like much, but 7 seconds is quite a lot.
You can see not a lot of the guys up at the top have made a pit stop yet, so we'll refer to this board in a little bit. But interested to see also as well the actual amount of pit time. So we can see, Eric Bellata's stop was, he got slowed down coming in, but also 3 seconds or more slower than Ken Huber's stop sitting in the pit stop as well.
I wonder if that was due to having to get a little bit of repair done on that rear bumper.
May have had the bash repair not checked on, and hopefully he did. Could be a fuel thing too. Maybe burn some more fuel. Ken Huber was following for a lot of the race, would theoretically use that draft and save some fuel behind his competitor and not have to fill up as much during that pit stop.
Travis Bell looking a little more competitive right now. He is getting right close up to the bumper of Keith Williams, hoping to make a move. Keith Williams been pretty calm today. Hasn't really had any incidents going, I don't recall. There he goes. He's making the move. And it looks like Paul Boyle's coming through, and they got a GTP behind them waiting to be let go.
Terry Kiger Jr. getting stuck behind Paul Boyle here for a couple corners, and no effect able to be made. So we see Miller Boyd is in the pits, so, this is not what Terry wants, as he's trying to get ahead of Miller after Miller had lost a little bit of time, as we saw going off track, but this has just been a really rough last sector here for Terry as far as traffic goes.
Yeah, he barely snuck inside of that Lamborghini, so he's trying to make up any time that might have been lost and hopefully not give up that position to Miller.
And he has given it up by quite a lot as well. Traffic has undone this section of Terry's race. Now we'll see if Miller is able to get up to speed with the new tires he presumably put on the car, but good 2 seconds now ahead of Terry Kiger Jr.
It looks like the pit stops shook up almost everyone's race here. A lot of people switching around, and some people overcut, some people underman. It's been quite an exciting turn of events just to go get some gas and tires.
Yep, and so we see Jesse Coffey still staying out in this race and has now taken the lead. Although he, James Foreman, and Kevin Berquist, all those guys in the top three, as well as Travis Rowe, who just came in, have not made their pit stop in this race yet. So Ken Huber is the net race win, or net race lead currently. It's about 7 seconds ahead of Eric Bellata.
Hey, man, it looks like Jeff McDonald had a little bit of a off track. He got a little squirrely, so he was trying to catch up to Josh Doty, and now he's back with a little bit of a gap to catch back up.
Yeah, I guess also to just finish out the list of drivers still to make their pit stop. Coffey, Foreman, Berquist, as mentioned. Christopher Newby, Roger Shank, Daniel Hingley, and Keith Williams. Every driver in the GTP class and every other driver in the GT3 class has made their pit stop at this point. We are closing in on 53 minutes, so yeah, able to take it extra long with this tight circuit and see what happens to the guys who had to pit early. If they're able to make this last stint stretch enough to still keep it at a one stop, or if it's going to force them into a unfortunate two-stop race.
Rick Terrell making his way past Langenberger and Daniel Barnett. Looks like he made that happen. And also looks like Nathan Westland might be able to squeeze by as well.
Yeah, at least making his way past the lapped traffic, but did look like he lost a little bit of time to Tyler Langenberg ahead.
Yeah, just in that little turn section, that's all he needed, a tiny little bit of slowdown. He's being able to pull a decent little gap out there on him.
Just coffee here again. Stretching another lap. His competitors behind with Foreman and Berquist coming into the pit stop. So we'll see. This may be the only driver able to stretch it here for the 39, 40 laps that they're on. I don't know if Shank Shank and Hingley's coming into the pit stop. So I think Roger Shank able to keep it out, and Christopher Newby as well. So a few guys there really nailing their fuel conservation, and just interested to see if that pays off for them in the end.
Yeah, I don't know if it will, but we are definitely going to find out soon. I'll be surprised to see him do one more.
Yeah, I've thought that for a couple laps now, to be fair. So they've been able to really stretch these tanks. And I mean, if you can still pit earlier and have good fuel conservation, the really important thing is not exactly how far you can go, but it's how little fuel extra you got to put in the car. And so some of the guys pitting earlier, they maybe just did that on strategy. They may not have been at the very end of their tank. So it's not a surefire thing that everybody is like managing fuel worse than these guys sticking it out late, but this is a bit of a proof for sure. So we do have an incident, though, between Jeff McDonald and Travis Rowe, potentially. Or maybe separate incidents. Jeff McDonald sending it down in the Atwood curve. Just a very minor collision, but it does send both cars careening sideways.
Wow, and there's a tiny little window he's got left open for others to squeak by. There was almost another incident once he finally did make it to a stop. That was a close one.
Well, Jesse Coffey did go another lap. He's doing another lap. He's still out on track.
I think he's just doing it for fun, just to tease us.
Maybe he's going no pit. Maybe he's got 30 more minutes of fuel in this car.
And Miller Boyd catching up to Terry Coger Jr.
How did he lose that?
He closed that. I didn't see how he lost that. I just noticed that they did switch up. And here we have him trying to make it happen again. And Coger Jr. gets right in the back of that GT3 of Eric Bellotta.
This was the incident that saw it happen. The exact same spot that Miller Boyd locked up trying to make the pass on Terry Coger Jr. He locks up into hairpin corner and gets passed by Terry as they're now heading back into that corner again.
I would think that is not his favorite turn of this track.
Looks like both cars handle it well this time around, at least. But you never want to lock up tires on new, or lock up the tires on some new tires. It can really be a bad effect to that tire life come late in the race.
Absolutely.
So Jesse Coffey with his miraculous fuel conservation has now come into the pits, and interested to see if Newby and Shank will follow suit as the other two guys who have not pit yet, as well as Keith Williams too. So Keith Williams there in 16th place, still needs to make his pit stop.
James Rep making a move on Rick Hughes. Looks like he's going to make it happen. Rick is, I think, just going to let him go, just play it safe and not make sure he doesn't have any incidents. But he's going to keep the pressure there in case there's a mistake from James Rep coming up, or he has an opportunity. He's right on the bumper, so backing off a little bit. I think he's just going to play it safe and not ruin his race, or James Reps.
Roger Shank into the pits. Christopher Newby sticking it out. Newby going to at least 43 here.
That's incredible.
Jay Smart there weaving his way through. Jay Smart has seemed to bring that gap to Paul Skip down a little bit. Traffic's not helping him too much here, but I think we were looking at around 5 or so seconds before, was in the threes there for a moment.
Roger Shank is coming back out of the pits now as he rejoins the field.
And yeah, it seems we've got most of these pit stops in, and just a couple close battles on track. I think we'll take just a few minute break and be right back with you until the end of this race. right, and we're back, and we saw a couple action there in some of those replays. We saw Kevin Berquist get a little bit of a contact from Nick Terrell there in Mike Knight corner, one of the ones that I thought would be a little bit of an issue. We haven't seen many collisions there, but a little bit of collision. You can see damage on his car right there. And then Paul Skip getting some damage with running to the back of Leonardo Elijah as he heads his way through the Moss S.
Yeah, interested to see if that is going to hurt his race. He's got almost 4 seconds between him and Jay Smart, but if that gap starts to shorten up, then we're definitely going to know that damage is having an effect on his aero.
So we can see here, Andrew Hicks has slowly but surely dropped that gap to Travis Rowe in front, and Travis Rowe at one point in third place, but we saw some stuff, unfortunate for him, and losing back a couple positions here. Still in a decent finishing spot for him. As we also just saw right there, James Foreman passing Jesse Coffey. So this is important. This is B class drivers. Jesse Coffey second place, lost in the championship, and through the S's just almost came together as Miller Boyd makes his way through.
Yeah, Miller Boyd definitely not scared to run through that pack. And Terry Cowder Jr. is continuing to try and catch back up to Miller Boyd. He's only a second and a half off. He was just under a second about half a lap ago, so it looks like traffic might have affected that. But he is still giving it a full try to catch Boyd.
A couple close battles still existing throughout this field. We were following Nathan Westland for a lot of that break there, and he's trying to get back that third place. He had it for a few laps when he was battling earlier on with Travis Rowe and Tyler Langenberg. After Tyler Langenberg got the spot, he's had it since then, but Westland has not let him take it easily.
Yeah. Travis Rowe also being caught up by Andrew Hicks. He's closing that gap a little bit. See what he can do, because they've all gotten tires, and now it is time to push. Try and get that P1 spot, or at least get a few positions ahead of where you are. And there we have Leonardo Elijah going slow again as Paul Boyle makes his way around him, so he must have had a quick incident.
I think that was Elijah just exiting the pits there.
Ah, yes. So maybe he was just kind of playing it safe as the traffic drove around him, as to not ruin anybody else's race on cold tires. But no, he went extremely slow into that turn, almost came to a dead stop.
Yeah, I think just trying maybe to stay out of people's ways. But yeah, definitely can be a little dangerous at times to do so. It's Nathan Westland here, trying to get Tyler Langenberg in his grasp, try to make a move. I don't think we've seen him stay close, but I don't think we've seen him attempt to send so far. Still a lot of laps to go in this race, so plenty of opportunities to do so, especially as traffic comes around. Although you look at that map there, and it's actually going to be a while, because Paul Skip's all the way back in Atwood Curve, and they're just starting the lap now.
Wow. Yeah, Tyler Langenberg, he's been holding on to that position pretty good. I can't tell if Westland is actually pushing or not, but I think we're going to see something happen from those two in the coming laps.
He's able to bring it down to even sub 0.2 of a second on the straight, but still not converting that to an actual attack. So could just be working together right now. They don't really have a hope of catching up to Eric Bellata in second, but Joshua Doty there in fifth is not that far back, 4 seconds, and I don't think either guy really wants to lose time behind, so maybe just delaying this battle a little bit as they work together.
Dude, Nick Terrell making his way past GT3. He is taking some time away from Jay Smart, trying everything he can to take P2 and hold on to it. We know he's an aggressive driver, so he can, if anyone can do it, I think it's him.
Yeah, we saw Terrell involved in the hunt for first at the start of the race, but once we kind of got to the middle section, it looked like the top three had kind of separated themselves, but with a little bit of a late race push here, he's making his way into the second place conversation as, yeah, he's brought it down to sub 1 second, was over 4 seconds just 5 laps ago.
Making their way through the traffic in those S's. It looks like they figured out how to do it pretty cleanly and not lose any pace while still being able to push. But as you get into the hairpins and the tighter turns, if you're running into any traffic, that's where we're seeing a lot of gap being picked up between two cars that were in contention to race each other.
Yeah, and I think a good explanation for that too is the S's is one where as long as the GT3 is cooperative and aware of where the GTPs are going and they work together, time doesn't have to be lost. But in slow corners, it's just a necessary conclusion. There's sometimes if the GTB just can't get that run in time, they have to wait. There's nothing the GT3 can do to make it any better.
And looking at the front of Paul Skip's car, it's definitely got a good little bump on it on the left side, so we know he's going to be running slower. Still got that 4 second interval to Jay Smart, a 4.23 looks like. So he's still holding on. He's still going at pace. Could be that it may not be pushing all entirely as hard as he could, and Paul might be giving it everything right now. We just don't know how he's managing to maintain that gap over Jay.
Yeah, it's this battle here that potentially could work out with Nick Terrell catching up to Jay Smart would be exactly what Paul Skip wants because, I mean, there's less than 20 minutes in the race. As long as Skip keeps it clean, I think with the pace that he's kind of put in, I think he may be safe from a charging Nick Terrell. I could be wrong about that assessment, but certainly Smart and Terrell battling each other is exactly what Paul Skip wants to happen.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna be paying attention to each other. They're gonna be just trying to do blocking and defense as opposed to just getting flat out and getting on with it to try and catch back up. So he is loving that, knowing that he has damage. So that was a worry he had whether he was gonna potentially lose that P1 spot. He knows Jay's a quick driver as they traded a P1 back and forth at the start of this race. Paul has been able to hold on to it. We will see how it goes in the next 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, so far, definitely close up top, but Skip's last lap was a strong one. He had lost time to Jay Smart in the previous lap, but 2/10 faster that time with a 1:21.36, well off of their best laps that they've been able to do at the start of the race with the 1:19 kind of range. They are a whole 2 seconds off of that, so they're not even close to what they were able to do, and maybe track conditions because the tires wouldn't be I mean, they're old. They're not brand new, but I think the track's just getting a lot hotter for them too.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the tires themselves are kind of in a sweet spot, but the track is getting a little slick for even a tire that is in its green window. Here comes Aaron Clayball trying to make a move on Travis Bell. Had that traffic go by of Paul Skip, and that had Travis slow up a little bit, and that gap got closed. So Clayball's definitely trying to make a look here because he knows the race isn't going to last forever, and he's got to do something.
Yeah, he can only buy his time for so long, especially when, again, Paul Boyle is just up the road. They're not that car that's right in front. That is a lapped car, but the one in front is Paul Boyle. Not out of touch for either of these guys if they put in some strong pace here, as well as potentially another position or two after that.
Yeah, it's interesting because wasn't Aaron Clayball, he was the first one to go in the pits, and he went well early. So I'm curious to see if he is going to actually have to go for a splash and dash, or he did the calculations right and he's going to run that tank nearly dry at the end.
Yeah, we saw Aaron Clayball pit on lap 23, and the guy that we saw stretch the strategy the furthest was Christopher Newby with 38 laps. So a 15 lap difference between Aaron Clayball and Christopher Newby, who took it the longest of the field. And I mean, I know that he's the kind of guy that would have made the calculation. So unless that was an emergency stop, I would have to think that he knows what he's doing with when he stopped there.
Yeah, it could be the winning strategy to help him gain a few more positions here by the end of the race. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. We know Travis, the guy he is fighting, also came in what we thought was a little early. Turns out it was a lot early. So, they're probably weighing about the same-ish. I'm sure Clayball has a little bit less gas, maybe, but we'll see. It all depends on how they manage their pit stop and which one actually has the slight advantage over the other.
That competition between the two cooled a little bit as it's just about a second now But just a couple spots back, we do have a battle brewing now with Christopher Newby catching up to Zach Nurnberger. Newby, who I just mentioned, was the guy who took it the longest on fuel, so an impressive first stint that he had there, but he's missing his entire rear bumper, so not going to be helping him out in this section of the track.
Also not going to help his stability on some of these really tight turns.
Oh,
Nick
spin
Carroll
back there by Jack Lucas, right in the back of the screen.
He's having a rough day, that's for sure. We know he's quick. He's just had a few little spin outs, and that's really hurt his times today. Looks like he just overcooked that one a little bit. Managed to hang on and not even go off track. Just maybe barely touches the barrier, but that shouldn't affect him at all. Ooh, Nick Terrell trying to make a pass on Jay Smart. He's right there trying to make something happen here. He is looking for any advantage right now.
It just caught the tail end of that. That was a move attempt made in the hairpin corner, still side by side as they made their way through Revolver. But Jay Smart able to get the upper hand through Piper and keeping that second place spot, but certainly in threat. And also, as you can see, the effect of even just the slight battling that they've had so far is Skip now has a nearly 6-second lead on Jay Smart behind.
Yeah, so all that battling has definitely paid off for Paul Skip. He is definitely going to have to keep a watch on them. If they do manage to get kind of open air, maybe pass each other and stop fighting. But it looks like he might be able to secure the win if he can just hold on and deal with traffic. Stay alive.
So they get through some traffic there again through the S's quite well, both drivers. A little bit of time lost for Dick Terrell behind, but has that 6/10 gap now to Jay Smart. You can see Smart a little bit faster there through Sector 1, almost 2/10, and just a hair faster in Sector 2, but a tough spot now that they're catching up to some traffic, and this is some hard-fought traffic because this is Nathan Westland trying to take third place from Tyler Langenberg. This is two podium position battles happening on track right next to each other, and they're trying their best to not get in each other's way.
Yeah, this turn section, we've seen when the GTPs get caught up, they cannot make pass for.
Ooh, this is a perfect opportunity for Westland if he's able to make the acceleration. Oh, just too short of a run. That was a dream situation for Nathan Westland as Tyler Langenberg got hung out to dry on the outside by the GTPs, but couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, it's definitely shaking up. You never know what's going to happen when they start to bunch up like that. And look, he's still giving it everything. And see if he can get something around him on this straightaway. Is he going to pop out? No, he's not.
Either duo, see it if either one makes something happen. Nathan Westland making the move on the inside in turn one. Looked a little closer from that view. I think just getting some clean braking space.
Yeah, it looks like he had to back off a little bit. He didn't quite have the window of opportunity open for him, but he knows it's going to open soon, and he'll be there to jump through it.
Christopher Newby with a bit of an off track here, losing him some time. That's not the. Don't know what point. There we go. Christopher Newby makes his way through that infield section, spin to the inside, and then just a difficulty, I think, get back to the track. Luckily, he didn't have to make a 3-point turn there at least.
That and not really any traffic to speak of, so he could get back on track easily and not have to wait. It's like Ken Huber's just having a nice little Saturday drive, and 5.8 seconds gap between him and Eric Bellata, so he is just chilling, just trying to make his way around, and there's only about 12 minutes left to go in this race, so I think he can hold on to that as long as he doesn't get shook up by the GTPs going by.
Yeah, Huber and Bellata, both impressive showings throughout this entire season so far. Again, Eric Bellata has 3 pole positions to Ken Huber's 1. If Ken Huber pulls out the win here today, Ken Huber will have 3 wins to Eric Bellata's 1, and both guys will have podiumed in all 4 races so far. So a very strong showing for both drivers.
See, Kevin Burnquist trying to catch back up to Jesse Coffey. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that happen this lap or the next, but he's within a second, right at it, so he's got to look.
You can see that time just very consistently chipped away from Jesse Coffey. Both guys in the B class, and both guys as some of the front runners for that B class as well. So this is a very championship effective battle. Right now, Kevin Burnquist sitting in 14th overall, which puts him at 6th in the GT3 B class, but that's only 21 points off the leader, Andrew Hicks. And Andrew Hicks right now in 10th. So Nathan Westland, James Foreman, Jesse Coffey, Kevin Berquist all trying to catch up in the overall standings to the leader. Jake Smart and Nick Terrell are fighting again. Nick Terrell technically has the lead as they come into this right-hander. And I think he's not going to be able to keep it as they come through the last corner.
He's keeping the pressure on, and they're going to touch a little going into the straightaway. Nick Terrell makes it happen on Jay.
That was a tight battle as we escaped from view for a second. Trying to take another look at what happened there.
Looks like they ran out of racetrack a little bit, and they might have touched each other slightly, but not enough to really cause any issues.
So this was the initial move. Nick Terrell making the send down Redmond corner. Tough move to make. They come back around. He has the disadvantage of the outside. Trying to fight down and side by side into Mike Knight corner. Not one that you usually battle through. Side by side, still through last corner. And yeah, I don't think they touched. That was ultra clean by both guys.
You probably couldn't fit a sheet of paper between the two of them.
Yeah, Jay Smart leaving him just enough room where he kept it fair, kept it legal, and Nick Terrell keeping his foot on the gas and benefits from it as he took that outside line through the final corner and has extended the lead from Jay Smart for a second, now to a second and a half. So I don't know if that's just pure pace or if just he's had a little bit of a better traffic experience over this lap, but I'm not sure if Smart's going to really have a capability to fight back for that second spot here.
You know he's going to try because he was up in P1 at some point there after passing Paul Skip, and now he's made his way down to P3, and I know that's shaking him up. So as we come to the last 9 minutes of this race, he knows he's got to really push it to the edge to potentially catch back up and get that P2 spot back.
Yeah, the disadvantage that Jay Smart does have to hold until the end of this race is that he pit on lap 36. Meanwhile, Skip and Terrell both pitting on lap 38. So 2 lap older tires, and you have to wonder if that's what really made the difference there in that battle between those two.
Yeah, and imagine Aaron Claywell is experiencing the same thing because he has the oldest tires on track, and he just cannot seem to catch back up to Travis.
Yeah, we haven't. He hasn't fallen back a significant amount. He hasn't fallen into the threat of Zach Nuremberger behind, but being able to crack that 1 second mark for much more than just a couple turns, I think seems to elude him a little bit in this section of the race. Now with 8 minutes left, something has to be planned for the next few laps to make that move.
Indeed, Miller Boyd, he's trying to do everything he can to do something, but there's no way he's going to catch up to Jay Smart. Looks like he's just trying to get away from Terry Cogger Jr. as much as he can. There's a 1.4 second gap between them at the moment, and that is something. Oh, look at that. He's catching back up. They're at a second gap now, so anything can happen here. And just trying to get the space away, but it looks like Terry has the eyes on the prize right now.
Yeah, we have a couple close battles still brewing here at the end of this race. As Terry has now broken the 1 second to Miller Boyd there for 4th overall. Nathan Westland all over the track, just trying to poke and prod, trying to find a spot to get through to back to his 3rd place that he was in a little bit, or for a little bit at the start of this race from Tyler Langenberg. And Kevin Berquist, while getting stuck behind Jesse Coffey, has now brought Travis Rowe into that 7th place conversation.
Yeah, they are only half a second behind Berquist, so he's definitely trying to take advantage of that. We have it's Porsche versus Audi, and we know the Audi has been a little loose this season so far.
Travis Rowe with the earliest pit stop of these 3, pitting on lap 34, and Jesse Coffey with the latest pit stop of the 3 on lap 37. The positions changed as they head into turn 1, though.
Most people decently spread out in the GT3. There's only a few battles going on, so I think a lot of people have had enough of the chaos of the GTPs flying by them, and they're just trying to finish the race clean, secure their points.
Is that a move being made by Kevin Berquist? He looked like he was trying at least. He's going to be on the inside, closed off by Kevin Berquist, or by Jesse Coffey there on the exit of Atwood Curve.
Giving it everything he's got.
Couldn't quite get his nose in there to try to prevent that close off as he's sending it again here. Kevin Berquist is ahead. Is he going off track? It looks like he's struggling to get it slowed down. And I think Jesse Coffey may retake this into Revolver corner. No.
I think that might be. Oh, there
no, Kevin Berquist fighting this now into Piper corner, and he's got the advantage of the inside. Keep an eye on Travis Rowe behind.
Wow, this is a shakeup. Did not expect Travis Rowe to be competitive like this and making a pass.
And then a little bit of a collision.
Woo, that is insane. But he's still trying at it.
He's stuck on the outside here. Is he going to try to flip back or not? He's not going to, so he's going to stick behind as it looks like Kevin Berquist may be able to step away, and Travis Rowe trying to fight now for this 8th place spot from Jesse Coffey.
Here comes Paul Skip running up alongside them. I guess they were lucky that it happens in the straightaway instead of the turns, because you know that Travis was hoping to close that gap with the GTP coming through. Anything can happen.
There's bad time there for Kevin Berquist as Berquist was just ahead and a little bit of squabbling with Paul Skip. The spot switched back behind. Roger Schenk getting the position on Christopher Newby. Newby without the rear of that car, struggling to keep it stuck to the ground there in Hobbs corner, which doesn't surprise me. It's a low downforce kind of corner as you're going slow and you're going over a hill as well.
Tyler Langenberger is trying to hang on to his position against Nathan Westland. Nathan not really pushing too hard yet. He hasn't really stepped out to take a look and try and take a dive on him yet, but he is hanging right there, just waiting like a bear in the woods for that any opportunity to go get that honey.
4 minutes to go, approximately 2 or 3 more laps in the books for the remainder of this race, and that is nearly a send by Travis Rowe. He thought about it. You could see the twitch in the car. He wanted to make that send, couldn't quite do it there, and he's only got a couple more chances now to make that move for 8th place on Jesse Coffey.
We're going to see some action here in the last few laps as everyone who is in a battle right now doing everything they can to try and make something happen. Looks like he might give it another go.
He has a decent run here. Kevin Burke was not under threat, but it looks like they're pretty much evenly matched as they head down the straight. Yeah, I think maybe if Kevin Berquist wasn't there, Rowe may have had a chance, but Berquist giving Coffey that draft as well.
Ooh,
Terry Kiger Jr.'s got the spot.
He's making a go at it.
Deep send into turn 1. Very late. A little bit of a collision, too, as they make their way through the apex.
And Miller Boyd caught right up to him, and he might give it a go.
Paul Skip with a 5.2 second lead. Doesn't look like he's going to be giving that up in this race. Some damage to Terry Kiger Jr.'s car there. Miller Boyd trying to make the send into hairpin. He's had some issues here in this corner before. Is he going to make it get it slowed down? A little bit deep, and yeah, he's going to have to fight back on the inside. He loses the position. Well, it loses the battle there. And slots back into 5th again. Still has a couple opportunities in this race still to go, though.
Yeah, you really have to slow those cars all the way down to keep your traction and make that turn. And, you know, that can have a big effect on the person falling behind you. They can close that gap up real quick.
Yeah, as soon as you start
playing with the brakes.
Yeah, as soon as you start panic braking in the GTPs, that's when it ends.
And that's what we had just seen. He couldn't quite get the car slowed down enough, and they swap positions twice, like we've seen a few times in both classes of cars, or all 3 classes, really.
They make their way right by that battle that we were watching there of Berquist Coffey Rowe, and that has quelled a little bit. So I think that this is one of the only battles that we'll see to the end, as we have just under 2 minutes. Next time Skip hits the line, that'll be a white flag for this race. Oh, and Nick Terrell.
There he goes.
Nick Terrell went off track.
I think he locked him up, and those tires are very tired.
With 1 lap to go, Jay Smart was just behind. He's able to immediately rejoin that track. Lucky to have the gap that he had on Jay Smart, as it's still just a 2 seconds between them. But that could have been disastrous for Nick Terrell's race there.
I mean, it still could be, because Jay Smart is really trying. He's got those GT3s in the way. I really don't think he's going to be able to make it, but he is going to get within sight's reach.
Yeah, Terrell only 2 GT3s that he'll have to contend with for the rest of this last lap, so maybe okay. Paul Boyle giving the spot to Travis Bell with this incident. Lots of incidents here in this last couple laps as he just makes his way through Hairpin, now through Revolver, and the car just spins out on him.
And James Rep just gave up his position to Keith Williams. He stayed on the inside of the straightaway and just let him on by with one go. That's
Andrew Hicks
curious.
Threatening Travis Rowe. Nathan Westland also threatening Tyler Langenberg again there at the front of the field. Andrew Hicks is going to get Travis Rowe. I wonder if Travis Rowe's just low on gas or something. The position seems to be going up kind of easy for him here in this. They come into the final lap.
I'm wondering definitely if fuel has something to do with that, because he definitely looked like he was all the way on it.
Now with Nathan Westland, one of the last couple close spots that we see here. Actually, Travis Rowe fighting back the Andrew Hicks spot. We'll see if Nathan Westland able to make anything happen into the hairpin. Nothing doing there. Travis Rowe was able to get the spot back up on Andrew Hicks.
Oh, Boyle off track. Let's see what happened to him. So he just got a little loose. Them tires are squealing right now. So
And
I think that
through all this chaos, Paul Skip has received the checkered flag, is going to come across as the winner again. Had a rough last week, but coming back with another victory here at Okayama, followed by Nick Terrell here in second place. Hard fought, moving his way up from third qualifying, and Jay Smart right behind, coming in third, rounding out the podium.
That was an incredible race, and we are looking also Ken Huber.
Joshua Doty just took the spot on Nathan Westland.
Wow, last minute maneuver.
Westland was trying so hard to get the spot on Tyler Lingenberg. He loses it in the final corner to Joshua Doty. Joshua Doty runs him to the line and gets him by two tenths of a second.
Oh, he's not going to be happy about that, I'll tell you that much.
And here we have Ken Huber making his way through Redmond Corner, trying to finish up his race here to earn his third win out of 4 races on the season. As finished in the top 3 for all 4 races, as well as Eric Bellata, who's behind him in second. Both guys a whole 30 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. A whole nother class for these fellas.
Absolutely. They are only racing each other, and that is for the championship as well. Be curious to see if Eric Bellata can get some wins himself to off-place the Ken Huber takedown right now, because he's taking it away.
Ken Huber in first, and Eric Bellata coming in second. Few cars left to make their way across, as they were on an entirely different lap than most of the other GT3s. So all GT3s have now finished the race. They were in a total race of their own. And again, Nathan Westland, fantastic finish for him, as he did get passed by Josh Doty at the line, but still was able to hold that B-class victory for the second week in a row.
Congratulations to him. Absolutely.
Let's pull up the official race results here. You can go ahead and read out the GTP results we got.
All right. In P1, as we all know, Paul Skip takes the win. Behind him, Nick Terrell. Jay Smart rounds out the podium. Terry Calgar Jr. behind him, and the final GTP of Miller Boyd.
The GTD class.
Oh, and Juvon. Sorry, I missed him.
Yeah. GTD class won by Ken Huber with a 4.4 second lead on Eric Bellata. Both these guys an entire 30 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, but Tyler Langenberg rounds out the podium for another time. Joshua Doty taking the line by 2/10 over Nathan Westland to secure fourth, with Nathan taking home a second GTD B win. James Foreman and Kevin Berquist round out the podium for the B class. Jesse Coffey, Travis Rowe, and Andrew Hicks round out the top 10 overall. Following them, Travis Bell and Aaron Claybaugh, Paul Boyle and Zach Nuremberger, Roger Shank and Chris Newby, Rick Hughes, Jack Lucas, Keith Williams, and James Rep. And then finally the field of Philip Ranieri, Dan Burnett, Todd Schneider, Leonardo Elijah, Daniel Hingley, Jeff McDonald, Greg Holland, and Richard Curry.
It's a stressful race for a lot of people out there. A few people in the waiting room. Let's see if we can get going on some post-race interview action. Let me see what we got. Are you there, Ken?
I am. Derek, how's it going, man?
Fantastic, man. What a race. You and Eric Bellata looks like you're in a class of your own, taking another win. Congratulations, man. How was this tight little track tonight?
Man, it was tough. I knew coming into it was going to be really tough. And Eric had a good car. We were just talking. Eric unfortunately got stalled behind some cars entering pit road, and I had a clean pit road, and so that allowed me to jump in front of him, man. So I guess that's kind of how my night went. So yeah, that was good for me.
Nice. And we did see Eric Bellata did get some rear bumper damage from Paul Skip as he was trying to make his way around him. I wonder if that has any effect on how you were able to catch up and make the pass for the win.
No, I don't think so. We were pretty consistent. I seen the damage. That was in the first stint, and then when he was able to get the damage repaired on his first pit stop, on his only pit stop, that should have been good to go. So he, like I said, he just got backed up behind other cars entering pit lane and kind of spoiled his chances at it tonight.
Absolutely. Well, you will earn those points tonight for your championship season. And congratulations again, Ken.
Yeah, hey, and I want to thank Zach and you. I know you guys probably don't get enough credit for doing these broadcasts, but I think everybody appreciates it and always enjoy watching them, the next day and stuff like that. So I just want to give you guys a shout out and keep up the good work.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
We're going to
thank you.
do our best. We're absolutely going to do our
There's
best here.
Zach. I thought he was being quiet. Are you sick or something, Zach?
Well, I got a question for you. I can ask. You mentioned how Eric did get hung up a little bit on his pit entry traffic, but the actual pit stop time, you were a whole 3.5, almost 4 seconds, I think, faster just in the amount of time that you spent in your pit box. Like, so was that entire first stint? You were close, but you weren't ever making any moves for first. Was that whole strategy a fuel saving strategy that you had in that first stint?
Not really, because it takes as long to get tires as it does fuel at this track because it's a little easier on fuel. So if you're going to take tires, you're kind of set on the tire stop. So I don't know what happened. That'd be strange to me, unless he decided to fill the full tank. I can't imagine that. He's a smart guy. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a Lambo luck.
Awesome.
Yeah, all
Congratulations
right.
on
Well,
that win, man.
All
yeah,
right, thanks guys. Have a good night.
let's hear it from the overall winner of the GTP class. Oops. Oh, there we go. Paul Skip, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good, guys. How are you?
Fantastic. That was a great win from you today. At the very beginning, you and Jay were kind of back and forth, and it looks like he was really pushing for it. But in the end, you ended up taking the win.
Yeah, I don't want to say that was my strategy because I didn't really have one, but I knew the track, if I overdrove the track, it would be way worse than just letting Jay go by. And he did get me pretty good on the inside. We went 3 wide there, I think, at one point, and I was like, okay, man, you earned it after that.
Yeah, best to play it safe sometimes. You got a lot of laps left. You can make it up on the end there. So congratulations on your win.
It looked like, by the way, Paul, you, it looked like compared to at least the last couple of weeks, the traffic. I mean, obviously it's a tight circuit and it was going to be difficult, but it seemed like you were handling it really well and weren't getting. I mean, yeah, obviously all the GTBs had times where they were getting held up, but it seemed like you got held up less than some of the other guys and were more consistent lap times.
Well, I don't know if I'd say I was being held up. I do want to apologize to Leonardo Elijah for that punt I gave him on that little kink back there. I didn't mean to do that. I thought he went left, but I just was trying to be kind of respectful and wait for those guys in a lot of places. I mean, there's just no good place to pass here. So I was kind of learning as I went, and if I just wait a little bit and make a pass in a better spot, it kind of kept us both going at a better rate of speed.
Well, congratulations on that win. That's 3 wins on the season, as you already came into here as the overall leader for the GTPs. Had a 2-point lead on Nicholas Paletti, but obviously Paletti not competing here today. So not only will you be pulling ahead on that, just for the win, but pulling ahead a lot due to that result there. So congratulations on that, and looking forward to seeing how you do next week at a brand new track of Willow Springs.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's hear it from Nick Terrell. who made a big splash towards the end of the race, just barely, catching up and making it happen just towards the end to make that pass on Jay Smart. How did you manage to make that happen with all this GT3 traffic on this tiny track?
Uh, I kind of went in just knowing that they qualified better. I was I was kind of hoping they'd take each other out, but since that didn't happen, I was just trying to run a conservative first stint and maybe get an extra lap or two if possible and take care of the tires. And when I saw Jay come in early, I instantly thought, okay, well, I'll have tire advantage on the second stint then because however many extra laps I get on my first stint, I'll have that much advantage then. And then I just knew he was gonna be going like balls to the wall trying to catch Paul. Man, I'm rhyming like crazy there. And then I was just like, well, I'll try to take it easy, but I'm gonna push a little, and because I had a 0x up until like the last 20 minutes or so, so I didn't want to push too hard and lose that. But I got into it with GT3. We turned in. I was next to him, and he didn't know I was there, and turned in and kind of hip checked him to like the last turn there. But I was trying to just give him room, and he still turned in like normal. And luckily, I don't think he wrecked or anything. But we both accrued a 4x for it. And after that, as well, 0x is gone, so now I can conserve and hopefully the bonus points and just push as much as I can. And went off in the gravel a little bit later. And at that point, I was just trying to conserve a second because I knew I was looking at relative C and J gaining on me. But yeah, getting by him was tough. When I finally did catch him, it took a matter of getting like my nose in on him and just trying to not let him get back ahead of me because I know he could then run defensive. So we were like side by side through some parts of the track I normally wouldn't want to be side by side in.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we saw you might have had some younger tires, but we saw that you'd had that off track in the last lap or two going into the gravel. So I imagine those tires were pretty hot. So having that tire advantage is definitely was something that we saw was very important today. So you definitely made a right call on that one.
Yeah, try. You got to strategize no matter where the chips fall during qualifying and stuff. I had a pretty good lap going until I totally lost it on my fourth flyer. I was trying to take the third one real slow and let the tires kind of cool back down and push, and it was feeling really really good through that like turn 3 or whatever, the high speed left hand sweeper, and just lost the ass end. And that was all she wrote at that point. I was like, well, see where the chips fall and kind of strategized. So I got up and walked around during warm up and thought about it. I was like, well, like, do I want to like just try to fuel save or push? And I was like, yep. So I ran the strat that I did and was able to pull out P2 and bonus points. So I guess I'll basically be like a P1 because I saw Skip got 11
Mhm.
incidents. So we'll tie this race. So got to do the small things race by race, even if you don't win them.
And
Indeed. Well, congratulations.
also, if I'm doing the mental math right, I think if we factor in a drop week, despite Paul's 3 wins that he's got on the season, I think that you actually have more points with those safety points, and that obviously can make the difference. We've seen it make the difference in championship battles before. Now we have another unknown track, or not that this was unknown, but not a lot of people run it here in the GTPs, but a total unknown for the league next week in Willow Springs. Did you have any specific plans for that? And what kind of nature of circuit do you feel like it's gonna? What kind of racing do you think it's gonna lend itself to?
That one may end up being a two-stopper because there's so much time that you're not really on the brakes. You're just kind of high-speed sweepers. I did a GT3 race there a couple weeks ago in another league, and that was one thing that was noticed was that the fuel consumption. So I'm gonna have to maybe play with some numbers and come up with some strategy too, just to and prep for it, and of course run some laps because GT3 and GTP are totally different animals, no matter where you take them.
100%. We definitely know that. And this track is a very good example of that.
Yeah, Willow Springs, man, it's gonna punish any small mistake too because it's really easy to hop a decent sized curb or maybe even with the GTPs take floor damage. I mean, it's some unknown variables taking those cars there. But yeah, I know one thing: if you go off the track a little bit, you misjudge on those high speed sweepers, and you're on an uphill and the suspension's all unloaded and gets a little bit of understeer. No matter how much speed you try to scrub off, you're not going to make that turn. You're just going to push off into the gravel. So it might be a matter of who makes like that kind of mistake first and how significant it is, either getting back on the track or um, avoiding any sort of curb, like I said, floor damage, any sort of other damage, because those ramps and curbs I said ramps. Those curves are almost like ramps. If you hit them just right, and we may see that on the broadcast next week. I hope I'm not one of them.
Yeah, and there's, with the gravel and all of those ups and downs, if you do go off track, it's going to take a little bit longer for that car to slow down. So it's going to make you lose even more time. So it's very important to stay on track there.
For sure. I can envision, maybe not intentional, but I can envision some hip check circumstances of people try to be side by side through there, and the inside guy's trying to still make his turn, but he's pushing too, and the guy on the outside's pushing too, and he gets out in the gravel or something. I mean, it's gonna be wild. The good thing is there's a decent bit of runoff and stuff. You can hopefully not sustain insane damage, but I mean there are some pretty good hills there if you go off at speed somewhere or you happen to spin or something. So it should be good for the broadcast. It's a nice, pretty track with the new graphic updates and everything as well.
Yeah, we are very excited to make our way over there. Well, correct on your P2 position, and we will see you next week. Let's talk to Nathan, our B class GT3 winner of today. You were quite in a huge battle there with Kevin Burnquist and James Foreman, and we were watching you. You guys were keeping it tight. How was it racing against them, and while also trying to manage the GTPs driving around y'all?
Yeah, it was good. The whole first stint, I feel like I was behind Tyler, just staring at his Audi, and then he pitted a lap before me, and I stayed out one extra to try and get a little more distance between us, and then came out of the pit at the exact same time. And then the entire second stint was just sitting behind him the entire time again.
Yeah, and we also saw right at the very end, Josh Doty made quite a big move on all of y'all, I guess you and James, and made his way in front. He's in the A class, so it didn't affect your race except for the overalls. He still won your class, but that was quite a shakeup at the very end.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate because I was trying to get past Tyler for the longest time, even though he's A class, so it wouldn't necessarily affect my position. And on the last lap, I finally had an upper hand going into the second to last turn, and unfortunately there was those fourth and fifth place GTPs battling at the same time, and had to end up going wide out the last turn, and Josh got passed there by a car's length. So
yeah, the GTPs were being pretty aggressive in the second stint, so I know that was something to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of lost track of them midway through the race because there's only 6 or 7, and so they kept coming wave after wave, but it was pretty easy to manage. They were pretty respectful waiting to pass.
Indeed. It looked like everybody was kind of keeping it pretty clean in the first stint, trying to stay away from each other, let the track heat up, let the tires heat up. It looks like you were actually quite pushing pretty much the whole time, and in also little battles pretty much the entire race. Was that a little stressful for you to maintain the entire race?
Yeah, I think I started on pole in my class, and I got a decent gap between me and can't remember who was in second. Coffee,
Jesse,
I think.
yeah.
Yep, Jesse. So I got, 5 or 6 seconds to Jesse, and then the tires started to fall off probably 30 minutes in, and then, yeah, like I said, I came out right behind Tyler again, and we were going at it the entire second stint. So definitely no brakes. They're just pushing the whole time.
Yeah, congrats.
Certainly made for some good racing. Sorry.
Yeah, and congrats on this on that poll that you mentioned as well. That puts you even with Andrew Hicks on the season, 2 apiece, and then first driver in the B class to get 2 wins on the season so far as well. Where Vahil and Berquist each have one of their own. So now you're at 2 wins coming into this race. You were 4th in the class, but only 12 points off the lead. It's really close between all you guys. Andrew Hicks was leading, but Jesse Coffey, Richard Curry, you, James Foreman, and Kevin Berquist all really close to each other in those overall standings, probably moving up a couple spots here. And looking forward to Willow Springs next week. Have you raced there in the GT3s before or at all? Because I know there's a lot of people, this will be the first time they're touching the track.
Yeah, this will be my first time. The previous 4 I've raced at before, but yeah, never done Willow Springs, so it'll be a little bit more of a learning curve.
Well, good luck to you.
There's some ups and downs in that, and like we were just talking, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the 3 wides go and how they do the turns, trying to stay next to each other, and it's going to be pretty tight. And I think it's also going to be a white knuckler, just like this race.
Yeah, this race had no breaks. It was definitely mentally demanding to stay focused the entire time.
Well, congratulations on that win again, second win on the season, and we look forward to seeing how you do next week at Willow Springs and for the rest of this giant season we got starting 2024.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Have a good night. All right, and I think that is everybody that we got there. So, what a wonderful race we had here. Again, Okayama, a track I love. It's one that a lot of people are familiar with, but certainly not familiar with using GTP cars on, and I think that it suited them just quite fine, and everyone, racing quite well here today. So, again, if you enjoyed this action, if you followed us here over the last 3 races here, this being race 4 of this big season we're starting the year with, you'll see us here, same time, 7 Central for practice at Willow Springs next week. Anything you got to say to get us out here, Derek?
Yes. No one could quite touch that Michael Schumacher time, but we'll see what happens at Willow Springs next week. We'll have to look up some records and see if anybody can clinch them.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.